Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel after a few times due to life, problem, job and a Hellcat. Now I'm back with a video, and today, as you can imagine, we are talking about cavalry, and in particular light cavalry, for two main reasons. The first one, at the moment, is the only cavalry that I've painted, and the second one because I'm trying to use them properly, and I'm not using the heavy cavalry yet. So let's start with how to use your light cavalry in your army. Essentially, you can have a few choices between the light cavalry. Here we have the French, but it's the same for British, Austrians, etc. You have Hussars, Chasseurs, Lancers as a light cavalry. Dragoon usually are heavy cavalry, but just in the form of the rule, because they have the same tenacity. Here we play Peninsula, so at the moment Cuirassiers and Carabiniers are outside our attention, but later on, when we're moving on the continent, when my Austrians will be finally ready to play, they will enter into the fray. At the moment you can see their weapons, saber and lance, have no special rules, so nothing change. What is change between the dragoon and the other light cavalry is the rule for heavy cavalry and one more dice in melee. Nothing stop you to make them better with elite unit, but essentially what we say here are carbine and light cavalry, which are the rule that we are looking for. Light cavalry unit as open order, special rule, and add 2 to the messenger, and open order has the same rules of the infantry, so they can be used in the same way to protect the front of your main army, to scout ahead and reduce their losses, but you need to be very careful to not be in charge in. So let me show you. These are 3 squadrons, one of Lancers, one of Hussars and one of Dragoon, my Peninsular French cavalry at the moment. If you want to play them in open order, you have to literally go in open order, and which grant you possibility to move across terrain far much better than in squadron, because they have open order and can enter and exit terrain in the same turn. They reduce the hits, they move, they cannot gain extra move, but they move 18 inches, so they are pretty fast. And in the first step of the game you can go in this way, especially if the enemy is heavy in artillery, because as cavalry you have a first important essential advantage above infantry, and is your charging distance and your movement distance that can help you to stay out any real danger, almost from great part of the enemy deployment. I return them in squadron, and I use squadron of 10 models just because the movement raise and the unit looks better to me than a larger one, but from 9 to 14 models nothing really change for them. I say the distance that they can move can easily take them out of any real danger. Let me show you what I mean. We have a rifleman unit of British and a line infantry of British. If you are not facing riflemen, they can only shoot 12 inches with their full power, and you charge 18 inches, and this is one of the most powerful advantage that cavalry have above infantry, because in this way the British can only shoot you with a skirmisher if they want to take a move, so 1 or 2 dice at best if they are a light infantry. Other stuff if you face riflemen, but riflemen are not so common in any forces. The Jäger, the rifleman and the British, but you will face for the most regular musket, and muskets will not can eat you far than 12 inches in serious number. So this is the first real advantage. The other big, in my opinion, a huge advantage of cavalry against infantry is that if you win a melee, the opponent will automatically rout if it's infantry or artillery, and you can charge without any casualty, because you can charge for longer distance than the regular weapons of the infantry. In this situation, take the rifleman aside, the British player have an hard choice. He can hope in their possibility to beat your cavalry in melee, but is far to be sure, or they can go into square, because your light cavalry just needed to get 1 hit more than an infantry to automatically rout them. And it's a real hard choice for an infantry player. This means that even a single squadron of infantry can stop moving the infantry in front of them, especially if the infantry is a light brigade with few units and every unit count. For example, if this is not a single unit but part of a larger brigade which can take casualty, it can take the risk to receive your charge, maybe lose a unit, and then kill with a fire this unit, or reduce to a high number of casualty and then finish off with another volley of fire, or even a charge or a counter-strike with a fresh unit in the back. Different situation if you use cavalry in a brigade, obviously, because the more the unit grow up, and the more the difficult for the infantry will be. So essentially, rule apart how to use your light infantry. Historically, they going to scout ahead or pursue a flee enemy army. In this case, the pursue is not an option because you play a game and the game ends. So what they can do are essentially the thing. The first one is to scout ahead in the form of protecting your main line, open your rank and move forward, stay outside the most range of the enemy fire, at least until the rest of the army is closing in, and then move sideways from another part of the field where they are needed, or they can form a close brigade and treat a flank or even the center. It depends on the mission. In this case, I strongly suggest you to accompany your cavalry with horse artillery, 1 or 2 gun. If you plan to use your light cavalry, and I put dragoon as a light cavalry, I know that they are heavy cavalry. Usually they form my counter-strike unit for the like this one, and when my chasseur à cheval are finished, they will still help them into this role. Why I planning to use 2 units of cuirassiers in an heavy brigade. They are the counter-strike. I use them as light cavalry too. Essentially, they cover pretty much the same role, and the strike cavalry into the peninsula, because they are the heaviest cavalry that French has there, and I pay them a little bit more to give them carbine. Carbine shoot 12 inches. Okay, so you cannot make the same trick of the light infantry, but if you plan to move this asset on one flank, maybe one of the strongest flank of the enemy, you can literally stop it. Because if you have an entire brigade of cavalry in range of an all-out assault into the infantry outside their range, the fire that an infantry can throw you is usually not enough to seriously worry your brigade, and you can in that case put 1 unit slightly forward, maybe in open order to reduce the damage, and the rest of the cavalry is still in range of charge but safe from any incoming fire, and only a real strong infantry asset and a lucky opponent can withstand a charge, an all-out assault charge of a cavalry. Just the threat will make your opponent think maybe this will stop him 1 turn, 2 turn, and even if in the end it take its risk and shoot your cavalry, or if fall back a little bit, or go into square, which is the worst situation for a light cavalry, you obtain to secure a flank. If it's not into an objective, you have gained the time for the rest of your army to accomplish their mission, or force the enemy to react to one of your actions. So this is a very interesting use of the light cavalry. Another difference is made if you treat a weak flank of the enemy. In that case, you can deploy your artillery. You always deploy your artillery, but if it is facing a strongest asset, they stay outside their range and can fire and eventually move, because it is horse artillery. If is a weak spot, maybe with a smaller brigade, not well supported, isolated from the rest of the army, even if it is on an objective and the rest of the army is engaged with your main force, a light brigade of cavalry can do its job, because if the amount of fire that is coming in is not so heavy, you can enter into 12 inches and start to shoot with your artillery and your carbine and put some casualty into the infantry. And the same is if the infantry is going into square. In the moment that the infantry is going into square, it's very hard that your cavalry can charge the square with concrete hope to break it. But the square is a sitting duck, is slow, it's vulnerable to your fire, and you have carbine on in every unit. 1 shot per unit is chipping down the tenacity of the square, and when the square is shaken, your dragoon or even one of your no wounded cavalry can charge with a hope to break the square. Remember that the square is a dense target for your artillery. So my suggestion is always take horse artillery with your light cavalry. 2 gun is better than 1 because you make a 5 unit of cavalry and artillery, so you have a good chance to make a test with no modifier when they are called to take a test, a 4+ and not a 5+. And is not yet painted, but do not forget the possibility to play 1 detachment of cavalry. I used 3 dragoon just to say that 1 cavalry detachment work exactly as the same as an infantry detachment, and grow the number of your unit into the brigade over the 5, the crucial 5, which mean that the first test you have to take, if your detachment is sticking out, is still on a 3+, maybe 2 if you are within 12 inches from your general, but let's say 3+. And then the second one will be on a 4+. And when you are going to take a test on a 5+, probably the game is over. Okay, so keep this in mind. The best use that I've found in my test until now is to use the light cavalry on a flank, treating the weakest flank of the enemy, or in an equal deployment, select one flank and use the cavalry to slow down your enemy, or to protect your weakest flank. If you are weak in infantry in one side, help with light cavalry. Keep attention on the worst enemy of the light cavalry, which is not the infantry in no way, not in square, not even the rifleman, is other cavalry. The worst enemy of your light cavalry is another light cavalry, maybe a better one than yours, or an heavy cavalry. And it's pretty obvious, a better unit of cavalry can easily beat you, and heavy cavalry probably will crush your light cavalry without any real threat to be beaten. Heavy cavalry rerolled 1 to hit, misses to hit, so it's a very powerful ability against other unit, and especially if you need to crush your enemy in one go. And British cavalry in particular, not in special part, had a strong ability which can be used to crush one of your unit and put some casualty into the another one, maybe in a supporting one, before being wiped out or destroyed. And if the British player is lucky enough to pass his Valor test, maybe it's not even the situation that it's light cavalry or worst heavy cavalry will run after the first initial charge. My experience is mostly with the British and the French at the moment, but a larger cavalry of Austrian with height tenacity will be an hard nut to crack too. But why I say that your worst enemy is another cavalry? Because it became a matter of nerve or situational fire. Both of you charge 18 inches, so the first one which move into the charge range will probably see his fate sealed, because the offer a flank, not literally, but offer a flank to an enemy charge. And if the charge is made with every possible support, could be a decisive blow to your brigade. Facing an experienced player in casual game, not historical one, when the forces maybe are determined by history, but just I play what I want, you play what I want, and the parts on the field are equal and strong. It really became a matter of dice roll and a nerve. And if you are the first one to charge against an infantry, an unprotected infantry, be the first one to charge against another cavalry could be the real turning point of the game. Because, let me say, these two units, one charge the another, who charge get +1 to hit if it is without any casualties, so hit on a 3 and the returning strike are on a 4, so advantage to make the first charge. Support probably is the same, 1 dice per part. I cannot see an easy double unit charge into 1, so it's a matter of dice and opportunity and nerve, because even if I charge first, it's not automatically say that is good, because maybe I wipe this unit and then I take casualty in return. This is my support. The heavy cavalry will charge in and probably crush me, and this one can charge my support or stay where it is and offer support to the heavy dragoon. You can do the same for dragoon and lancers or whatever you want, it's the same. So it's a matter of nerve. The charge is not always the best way to act against another cavalry, unless you are very prepared for what it comes. So maybe you have a counter strike ready, you have a supporting fire better than yours. For example, back to the situation, 2 equal forces on the field, but the French have artillery and the other have not. Artillery can put some damage into the incoming infantry, stay not in the first line, let me say, so is quite protected, and can put just a single casualty make all the difference, because the charge in that moment are equal. If you being charged by a wounded cavalry, both of you hit on a 4, and again it's coming again another matter of dice, so it's hard to face a cavalry. There are not so many tricks that you can use, apart be smarter when you move, try to flank it, not easy at all, I tell you, unless you have the card number 9, which a surprise attack, you can make a move and then a charge, so in this case you can get a flank, but it's very situational. Other good way to counter the other cavalry is to get supporting fire. One thing that I'm planning to do when finally my models are finished off is not only to have a unit of cavalry detachment in front of my light cavalry, but also 1 or 2 detachment of infantry detachment. And the Parry Dragoon for the French offer you a great opportunity, because you have 8 Dragoon on foot, and you can make a detachment which go from 4 to 6 model, a 4 and 4 make your 8 Dragoon, 2 infantry detachment, 4 dice of shooting, help your cavalry to survive against the British cavalry, for example, against the Austrian cavalry. Everyone can do this. The Austrian can get the Jaeger, the British can add the rifleman. For the French is very useful, because You have Dragoon, which have carbine, but it's a matter of taste. Whatever is good. You can make a British Dragoon on foot. They also have carbine on the model, but they do not operate so often on foot, for what I know. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. So that's it for the cavalry. That it is what I have learned until now from the game. Any comment, any opinion is very welcomed in the comment below. For now, it's all for today, and thank you for watching, and bye bye.